Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. It's called The Sword Rules, and my name is Dean, and this is going to be part 2 of a little series that I thought I'd put together showing what I think are the really cool features of my 2021 BMW M440. So what I'd like to start with are some things that can be controlled by using the built-in assistant. I call her the little lady inside the dash, and I can't say the actual name for the assistant because then she'll light up right away, so I'll just go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So as you know, I'm in Wisconsin and it has already gotten pretty cold here. As you can see there, it is 44 degrees outside, and that is on its way up from a low of 41 this morning when I got up. So you get in the car and you start it up, and I have it set so the heated seats come on. Anything below, I think it's 50 degrees or 49 degrees, something like that. But it is one of the things that you can tell the assistant to do, so I have actually shut off the heated and cooled seats so that I can show you this. So the assistant is woken up by saying, "Hey BMW, my butt is cold."
I'm setting the seat heating on the driver's seat at level 1.
And there you go. The little lady inside the dash says, "Okay, well, let me turn on the seat heating for you and warm your butt up." Some of the things you can do, you can tell her to tune to a certain radio station. I could show you that, but then she starts playing it right away, and that of course is copyrighted, and then I'd be in trouble with YouTube, so we're not going to be able to show you that today. Let's try this. "Hey BMW, lower the windows halfway."
Unfortunately, the windows cannot currently be opened by voice control.
Yeah, I wonder why that's happening. I'll pull the car out of the garage in a little bit and try it. I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Alright, so let's try "Hey BMW, navigate to the closest fuel station."
Which one of these destinations should I select?
She brings up a few different fuel stations nearby that I could choose from, and then as soon as I click the iDrive button right there, she'll just start going to it. I'm going to hit the...
I'm sorry. Please try again in surroundings that are as quiet as possible.
Yeah. She thinks that there's a bunch of background noise because I'm talking on this video. Anyway, you can also do, you can pretty much anything you think of, you can tell her to do, and she'll do it for you. Here's another one that I found the other day. "Hey BMW, change the interior lighting to blue."
I've selected the lighting color blue with contour and blue.
So you can see that she has changed the interior, or you could also call it ambient lighting if you wanted to be, all cool and stuff. So, moving on down the dash, there are things you can do here, like if I press and hold that, it would turn off all the nannies. I'm not really sure why you would want to do that, but maybe if you're out running around on a track or something and you want to get into doing some power slides maybe, but I leave all those on all the time. You can turn off traction control if you want to, and in fact I do when I use launch mode because it makes for a faster launch, but yeah, I leave all the cameras and the sensors on all the time. Of course, you have your temperature settings for the heat and or cooling. One thing that I'd like to bring up is this row of buttons down here. These are, a lot of people mistake them for radio buttons, and I can see why they do, because there's a volume button right here and the power on off for the radio, or I should say audio system. You can change the mode and the band and move your CD tracks or whatever you're listening to forward and backward, but they do much more than that. And like currently right now I have button number 1 programmed to bring up my Apple CarPlay, so I'll press that. There, that one. That's my shortcut to get there, instead of having to do a bunch of stuff with the iDrive here to get to it. The other thing I have programmed is if I'm out doing some spirited driving and I want to see the performance screens, I have that programmed to number 8, the sport displays. You can just press that. So you can virtually, literally I should say, program these buttons to do anything you want, up to and including tuning to different stations if you want to. So just remember that it's there's many different capabilities available to you in there. Inside this little compartment is the contact phone charging. I don't use it because I always hang my phone here on the outside, and I have a metal disc on the back of my case that of course keeps your contact charging from working, so I keep that hanging right there. It's really a super strong magnet. It does not fall off. We've got, anybody who's familiar with Wisconsin roads, our roads are terrible up here in Wisconsin, and they're rough, and that phone sits right there. It does not come off at all. Other things inside the compartment here, you got USB charging, or you can use that to feed the stereo. There is a 12 volt cigarette lighter style charger here. There was a blank in there when I got the car. I also use it to keep a little BMW. I have this little BMW flashlight. I use that to keep that flashlight charged up, and this blue light will turn off after a couple minutes, but I would leave it in there all the time, except bummer. Yeah, if it was just a little bit shorter, we could get that to close, but otherwise it is a cool little flashlight. I mean, it's super bright. So anyway, kind of handy to have. One of the other things I like about this is the camera system. You press the camera button once and it will bring up, right now we're looking out the back camera because it probably thinks I'm ready to go into reverse because I'm in the garage. You can change that to look at different views around the car, or you can press the parking assistance button here. Now from here you can use the backup assistant. You can do it will start to detect automatic parking for you. It'll start watching off the side cameras for areas to park, and it'll alert you when it finds one that it will automatically park itself in. I don't use that. I don't find it particularly useful. It does parallel parking, or it will back into a stall in a parking lot. And I used it once just to make sure that it worked, and it does work really nice, but I don't park that often like downtown. And when I do park at a grocery store or something like that, I park in the farthest stall away, and I never have any trouble getting into the stall by myself, so I don't use that feature. But it is kind of cool to use if you're trying to get into an area that is a tight squeeze for you. You can use this to kind of watch around your car and make sure that you're not going to hit anything. Yeah, I'll go back to the home screen, which I find also super useful because I have it configured to show navigation and all this stuff. It always just comes up that way for me. Some of the other buttons down here are the sport mode driving, comfort mode driving, Eco Pro, and I only use the Eco Pro on the highway, and I do that when I'm on a long stretch. Hey, it gets 33.5 miles to the gallon, so why not, especially with today's gas prices. Comfort mode is a little bit quieter on the exhaust. It closes the valve. However, I do have M Performance exhaust on here, so it doesn't really quiet it down that much. And then sport is, of course, for all the fun stuff. A couple different levels of sport too, and I do have sport individual programmed to, let's see if I can show you that. Steering is at comfort level, engine is in sport, transmission is in sport. If I'm just cruising out, doing a little spirited driving myself, I don't really need the heavy steering. If I'm in, we'll go back here. If I'm on the track with it, I will use plus, and that gives me the heavy steering also, which is good for track driving. Some of the other buttons down here, of course, your parking button, but this auto hold is a nice feature. I turn that on if I'm doing a lot of driving through the city and hitting stoplights. I can come to a complete stop. It holds the car in place. I let my foot off the brake and I can just sit there at the red light until it turns green, and as soon as I press the accelerator down a little bit, then that releases automatically and takes off. So I usually leave it off, but it doesn't matter. It's all automatic anyway. I could leave it on if I wanted to. And I think that's probably about all I'm going to cover for today. I think I've pretty much covered everything in here. I do have the sunroof up here. We've got some lighting, of course, that you can turn on when you need to. This is a neat little feature. It's got a vent for the sunroof, so you can just hit one button and it opens up just that little bit in back, and then if you want to close it, whoops, I'm sorry, you close that way. And I have the shade open right now, actually, just to give it a little bit more brightness in here in the garage. One thing I did want to mention too, some people don't understand that for the hood release down here, you do have to pull that twice to get it to unlock all the way. It'll pop a little bit on the first one, and on the second pull it pops the rest of the way open. You have to remember to hit that twice, otherwise you're going to come back and pull on it again. I guess I always catch those things because I'm the guy that reads the manual, you know, like front to back. I don't know, I've always been the guy that reads the manual. I find that to be interesting reading, and I think it puts a lot of people to sleep, but I like to read it and find out all the little features about a car. So there you go, that's part number 2. I think for the next one I might move outside and show some of the features in the trunk, if you can call them that. There are some things to point out back there, make it a very useful area. And then I think maybe we can get underneath the hood too and show that what I've done underneath the hood. So anyway, thanks for coming along with me on this little video. Hopefully some of this stuff was useful to you or interesting, and I'll keep putting out videos like this as long as people keep watching them and hitting the like button. So everybody have a good day, and I'll catch you next time.